Bismillah Rahman Rahim, dear viewers, Assalamu Alaikum. I am your host Faisal and you are watching Foresight. Viewers, in 2013, Chinese President Xi Jinping announced One Belt, One Road initiative. Soon after, the flagship and the first ever project of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor was started in Pakistan, and China invested in the early harvest program at least $25.4 billion. Through CPEC, in the first phase, 8,000 megawatt of energy added into the Pakistan's national grid. 510 kilometers of the highways, 932 kilometers of the road network, 820 kilometers of the optical fiber that was laid. Generated over 1,92,000 or slightly less than 2 million jobs. 0.2 million jobs were created. All these developments had been done in just 10 years' time, and that was the prime reason what the enemies of Pakistan and China don't want it. In retaliation, they are continuously using their proxies and terrorist outfits to inflict terrorism in Pakistan and to hurt Chinese interests. Now the situation is that after very long time of calm, we have witnessed a terrorist attack in Gawada, then at the Naval Air Station in Turbat, and just a day back in Bisham as well on Chinese engineers. Now what our enemy, what the hostile forces want? Why they don't want to see Pakistan progressing? Why Pakistan-China friendship is pinching them? What's the reason behind? To get more on this important issue, we have in our studios Major General retired Samrez Salik. He is the Senior Defence and Strategic Expert. Most welcome to you, General Sahab. Thank you very much for your arrival.
Thank you, Faisal.
And we have in our studios Dr. Waseem Ishaque. He is the senior analyst, and you know him. He is always very keen to have these strategic issues, particularly related to China. Most welcome to you, Dr. Waseem, here in the studios. And online joining us, Dr. Hasnain Javed. He is the senior economist, and he has a very close eye on the economic activities, particularly what is happening under the CPEC. Most welcome to you, Dr. Hasnain. My first question is to you, General Sahab, that Pakistan-China initiatives, investments, the projects are the prime target of the hostile forces, with the purpose to damage Beijing-Islamabad relations and obviously Pakistan's progress. What's your take on this?
Faisal, I will first like to draw a context. The world is in transition. The power is shifting from west to east. China is emerging as a global power, and it is challenging the hegemony of the US. And 21st century is being called as Asian century. Now in this context, even our region is in transition. Now as far as Pakistan is concerned, in this whole matrix of transition, Pakistan is once again having a very key position. In the past, in the 20th century geopolitics, we have had twice played the frontline state role, and we have paid a very heavy price for that. It's once again happening that in the 21st century geopolitics, two belligerents, I would say competitors or belligerents, they are getting arrayed, and Pakistan is again coming in the middle. Now Chinese rise is being contested. I did my PhD on strategic security management of CPEC. So basically what I did was that I tried to establish what is BRI on the whole, and CPEC is part of that, and what kind of contestation we are going to face as far as these two initiatives are concerned. I had identified threats to CPEC, what kind of threats CPEC is going to face. We can discuss them during our further discourse. And in my view, whatever is happening is basically on the larger context aimed at containment of China, and on the regional context aimed at not letting Pakistan play the role which it is now destined to play for the initiatives of China.
Well said. Well said. Dr. Waseem, when we are talking about Pakistan's progress, whenever Pakistan picking the pace, and regarding economy in general and the CPEC in particular, so enemies intensify their attacks on Pakistan, and the recent attacks in Gwadar, Turbat and the Bisham looks like that the CPEC is under radar and it's the target. So how do you see that, why it's happening? Why Pakistan is always targeted by the hostile forces and those who intend to inflict pain?
Thank you, Faisal. This is a very important question, and let me highlight some of the facts about what all is happening in last about few weeks. We have witnessed the resurgence of terrorist activities across Pakistan, especially in Balochistan and mainland Pakistan. First of all, the new government has been installed, and this government has been mandated for 5 years. And there was a long awaited desire of China as well as on Pakistani side that the next government, which whosoever gets the mandate, would be coming here for 5 years. So therefore, there will be a reasonable degree of political stability as well as the economic stability as well as the security aspects would be catered. So we have very successfully negotiated all those obstacles through which lot of geopolitics was being discussed earlier on. So Alhamdulillah, now the new government is well in place and is absolutely firm in its stance about execution of CPEC. We have seen that this government was welcomed by almost all the regional countries and the international players.
Obviously.
Secondly, from the Chinese side, they were also eager to have a stable government of at least coming 5 years. So therefore, they can negotiate and implement the phase 2 of CPEC. So in the initial plan, the CPEC was supposed to be completed by 2030.
Obviously.
And still we have 6 years, and out of which at least 5 years would be dedicated to this government. So therefore, there is an urgency on Chinese side, there is a huge urgency on Pakistani side, and when both sides have just started coordinating the phase 2 implementation, all those hostile forces which are against Pakistan's progress and which are against China-Pakistan relations have eventually become activated.
Obviously, you are absolutely right. Absolutely right. Taking your point forward, Dr. Hasnain, when we are talking about CPEC, how do you see the 10 years of the CPEC in the second phase, particularly as the Prime Minister just yesterday rightly said that there would be a formal agreement soon with China on the second phase, and Pakistan is eager to move on industrialization, agriculture development, IT, mining and renewable energy and all that which are envisaged already in the second phase as well.
Well, thank you very much. And in front of course, one is the PhD and plus the general, and he has the command over all the Balochistan and the Gwadar side. Also as the PhD, I mean, it is very difficult to speak in front of the journal and the doctor. So I would really appreciate the presence of General Samrez Salik. So for gratitude, sir. So now I just wanted to take you to the little history. It's all fine. I mean, part 1 is over. In our point of view, it is the second part, right? So the whole project must have to be done by 2020. So to me, the whole operational side and being developed, and of course we must be completely mature all these projects, and finally moreover, just not the 9 economic zone, it is moreover the 36 economic zone. It was the initial part of the discussion that it should be goes on by to the 2030. So to me, it is a delayed project, but somehow still the government, both of the government are willing, and I really appreciate the Chinese government that they are still to the maturity side. As over the past decade, China has emerged as Pakistan's largest trading partner. In 2022, the volume mutual trade between the China and Pakistan has reached $26 billion. So to me, if it is going on that way, like for example, if just as 70 or the 80 or the 90, both of the channels can tell us that the 70 to 80 kilometer away of the Chabahar, I mean, $420 billion is being done over there, and they are much having the progress over there. The 62 billion on the initial phase, but it should be, to me, it must be on the 420 to 430 billion of the project CPEC, because it is the flagship project, and geographically we are on the conducive position. But who is hurting it? I mean, who is in the middle of it? Who is, I mean, like, for example, from the power project, it's been completed. From the coal power project, who is the hindrance in that? Then if I talk about other few points like job creation, of course it should be the creation of 2.3 million of the job. So we must have not worry about the jobians. So we can create the job till 2023. It is the part of the 2015 to 2023. So economic growth, if I talk about the economic growth, CPEC could add 2 to 2.5% point of the Pakistan annual economic growth. And then increased trade, it should be a trade between the two countries, like almost around 420 billion. Like improved connectivity, it could be the booster regional connectivity. Then the energy solution, of course, we must not be in the shortage. What about the Dami Basha Dam? What about the Dasu Dam? What about the coal power project? What about why the IMF is asking about? I mean, they says that they are not for the payable of the 493 billion of the payable. Well, that's a different part. That's our part. That's not their part to comment on. But we let them comment, so they comment. And then is the infrastructure expansion. The CPEC could expand the infrastructure, improve peoples-to-people tie. Peoples-to-people tie is, to me, is when we are into the business. There is no business, there is no people-to-people contact, because this is a famous,
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Janasa would extend me that you scratch my back, I scratch your back. And then is increased tourism and activity. But moreover, who is under the plan of the CPEC controversial? And now, what is the re-energizing CPEC? Now, I'm not talking about the controversiality. Now, I wanted to move on to the re-energizing CPEC and what we can do. Moreover, what's so happened is happened. We must have to lock the door behind us.
Definitely,
now,
definitely that's the spirit, and that's what is needed right now. Dr. Hasnain, definitely, you are absolutely very right. When we are talking about the progress of the CPEC, different phases, I can just mention here that do you not think that despite of all challenges, we are progressing on Gwadar as well? We are very much eager to have the railway mainline 1 project, which is basically north-south from Peshawar to Karachi, as well as Havelian Khunjrab rail link. That is also very important and pivot when it comes to the linkage between Pakistan and China. And then CPEC green energy transition. We have a very lucrative project there in Thatta as well, and that is working very efficiently. 100 turbines, 12 wind power projects over there, 610 megawatts of energy is actually disseminated to the households. So how do you see this whole scenario, particularly the big projects like ML1, the Gwadar development and green energy initiative and all of this?
You're very right, all these projects on that pace, but when I was talking about the last, it was, I'm just discussing the gap of the 5 years. But of course, it is going on. The project called 1+4 is called 1 CPEC and has 4 projects under it, including Gwadar Port, energy and communication system and industrial zone, including which all the improvement what you are talking about. The most important part of the project is 9 special economic zone formed in different area of the Pakistan, where Chinese companies are transferring technology to Pakistan. But here it is very important to discuss before all these projects what you have discussed, because if there is no 9 economic zone, how can we connect to the whole country? Because it is just not a 9 economic zone, it is about the 36 economic zone, but people know about the 9 economic zone. Well, if I talk about the economic zones, so Punjab Alam Iqbal Industrial City is being constructed in Faisalabad. More than 25% of the work has been completed, but it is just 25%. Now, don't you think we should have to move on? Now, more than 150 Chinese companies and investors have invested more than $1.5 billion here, and 30% on the Ishaque economic zone in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and 20% on the Bostan special economic zone in the Balochistan, and the Dhawaji special economic zone in Sindh. But 5% of the work has been completed, just the 5%. Now, that is a very, we have to be very realistic upon these things. Otherwise, we must have to go for another areas. Otherwise, if we don't, progress on these areas.
You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. When we are talking about Dr. Waseem related to the Pak-China cooperation regarding the high quality education, technical vocational training, skill development, science and technology, and particularly the research. So, do you not think that if that is taken with the sincerity of purpose, that is going to change entirely over the scenario in Pakistan of development and progress?
Faisal, one of the important aspects of CPEC is also Pakistan-China knowledge corridor. So, in that context, a lot has been done. The HEC has been coordinating efforts on the aspects of CPEC consortium of universities. So, on that account, about 32 universities in Pakistan as of now, and about 12 universities in China, they have been collaborating on research related activities, conducting seminars and conferences, and also the different dimensions of CPEC which has been debated and researched so far. And on the aspects of human resource development, especially the labor class, one model was actually formulated inside Pakistan, on which this new tech was formulated, that it would create a skilled labor which could be then subsequently consumed into different projects inside CPEC. It is working reasonably well, but one university for the entire country is far less. So
definitely.
Therefore, there is a requirement to enhance
really.
at least one per capital, and then subsequently take it to one per district. Only then we will be able to sufficiently train our human resource to take on those projects which will be completed by 2030. From the Chinese side, there is ample of resources, there is ample of research, there is ample of energy to actually invest in CPEC related aspects and the wider BRI. Let me also share through this program that in 2015, when President Xi Jinping inaugurated CPEC in Pakistan,
China-Pakistan
and before that when he had actually announced the BRI concept, I had written amongst the very first few who had written first article on BRI, which was published in China in June 2015 in China Opening Journal, and in Pakistan in NDU Journal, first article out of very first few in 2016 NDU Journal. So, this sort of effort which we initiated about 7-8 years ago,
definitely
it has been matured over time and it is
being
doing
initiated well and accomplished as well. So, Jalsa, when we are talking about the Special Investment Facilitation Council, how do you see its critical role in bringing investments, particularly the Chinese investments into the different sectors, to move CPEC on and to make it fast track?
Now, what I would like to say is that both China and Pakistan will have to critically see that what kind of threats are there in the field against this project, because whenever the change is occurring, there are certain enabling forces and there are certain restraining forces.
Obviously, yes.
Particularly in this case, you know that US is one restraining force. They want to see, don't want to see rise of China.
Obviously, yes, they are the competitors.
India is another restraining force. So, those are being exploited within Pakistan through our internal front. Now, as far as the investments of China are concerned, I think that at the time of conclusion of our agreements, there was certain lack of clarity or transparency, or I would say it was felt that some of the agreements were more tilted towards China. So, those corrections were made and effort was put in, for which this got little delayed. As of now, I would say that both China and Pakistan has to display perseverance, resolve, because this change is not going to go uncontested. The contestation is already on. I had identified 4 threats to CPEC, and trust me that what I have witnessed, that all those 4 are in play right now. So, those kind of things are going to come up. We should be willing and ready to pay the price that may be needed in order to execute this project.
So, your point well taken. But Dr. Hasnain, when we are talking about CPEC movement towards its destination, particularly in the form of different projects. Just recently we have got a news that 5 new corridors under the second phase of the CPEC are envisaged, and those are actually the corridor of growth, job creation, innovation, green energy and inclusive regional development. Now joint coordination committee of the CPEC is also on cards to have to meet on and deliberate on different issues. Along with that, a senior minister or the senior delegation, high level delegation from Pakistan will also going to visit China soon. So how do you see these developments along with those 5 sub corridors?
And that is seriously, I mean, it's a sigh of relief after a very long time. And I really appreciate President Asif Ali Zardari, that who have written a letter to the President Xi and a reviving of all these CPEC project and clarify all these things. And again, I just wanted to request to restore the authority, CPEC authority, and the one window operation under the CPEC. And if the delegation go for the other 5 economic corridors. So the China-Pakistan economic corridor was envisaged as a comprehensive and long-term project with the key objectives. As General Sahab said, it is very right time to do that. And but I'm telling you, the right person to chair this authority is very much important. So upgradation of the transportation communication infrastructure, enhancing the connectivity, ensuring the energy security, promote the industrialization, modernizing the agriculture. See, modernizing the agriculture without China, we can't do that. So we have to do that. We have to, I mean, make another arrangement, because the agriculture mechanization in China is progressing exceptionally. So the Sukhi Kanari hydropower project is northwest Pakistan achieved to the hosting of the core component, and this delegation is going to discuss this. I'm very much sure that they must have the part, and they must have to consider the practitioner and the deep rooted, you can call it the CPEC philosophers, like for example General Sahab is there. I mean, they have the right idea to how to execute moreover to the 5 economic zones and the corridors. And the very important is 413-ton router, crucial turning water into the electricity was smoothly installed on the last of the 4th generation in the unit. And the successful hosting of the large router will help advance communication progress of the power station under the China-Pakistan economic corridor and located in the Mansari district of the South Asian country Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. Let me tell you, the Balochistan and the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is very much important, and don't miss out the Gilgit-Baltistan, because it is the core of the all corridors. So it is also solid step of the waterless commissioning of the 4th generation unit. Just 1 minute more with apology to respected General Sahab, because because this point is very much important. The waterless commissioning of the 4 generating units in the coming 6 months. The hydropower project started construction in January 2017, which have to complete it now. An official function, the CPEC project will annually generate some 3.21 billion kilowatt hour of clean electricity, and replace 1.28 million ton of the coal and reduce 2.52 million ton of the carbon dioxide emission per year. So all these together can resolve your electricity issue, resolve your transportation issue, and resolve somehow your debt servicing. The very important point is debt servicing.
You are absolutely right, Dr. Hasnain, absolutely right. General Sahab, Chinese businesses, industries, they are actively looking to relocate to any other country. So when we are talking about Pakistan's economy, why not we are not going to get benefit of this whole ambit, and industrial growth, value addition, high quality products, their exports, trade diversification, resultantly the job creation, and have social uplift. So why we are not interested in that? Why not those industries must come to Pakistan? We welcome them with an open arm. Why not?
Faisal, the issue is that the foremost thing which is needed for such type of growth is law and order. If we have security issues with our neighbors within the country, then I am afraid that we will not be able to reap the actual benefits that we want to reap. If we want to really execute, reinvigorate, re-energize CPEC, in my view, the first step that needs to be taken is have peace with the neighbors. If we are not peaceful with the neighbors, our internal front will be vitiated, and that is happening.
You are right.
In 2017, I authored a book, and then I had identified that there were 3 beautiful convergences which are good for Pakistan. Number 1 was that we managed to quell the menace of terrorism, Operation Zarb-e-Azab.
Lots of sacrifices and well planned.
Second was that CPEC came on the horizon. And third was, because of this opening of media and all that, there was an awareness in the public, in the people.
Right, Dr. Waseem, when we are talking about CPEC projects overall, do you not think that it is a very important juncture where Pakistan's political leadership, Pakistan's military leadership, the bureaucracy, the civil arm, and along with that, the people of Pakistan, majority parties, either they are in parliament or outside, and the traders, industrialists and all that, we sit together and once for all decide that where we have to go, particularly regarding CPEC.
I think I have absolutely no doubt, and I am very optimistic about the future of CPEC.
A grand dialogue related to the CPEC.
I say that I am very optimistic about the future of CPEC. As the nation was united on the acquisition of nuclear capability, strategic capability, as the nation is united on Kashmir issue, on the similar pattern, the nation is still united on CPEC as well. So with the whole nation support and with the government's enthusiasm and with a renewed enthusiasm now with the current government, and we have seen with a lot of enthusiasm on the Chinese side, as the Chinese government just few days ago have welcomed the statements and the preparations which our delegation which is going to be visiting Beijing in few days. So they all everything is set to actually initiate the phase 2 of CPEC project.
Obviously.
And this is a lifeline for Pakistan, and let me also quote that if it was said at the initiation of CPEC that is a fate changer for Pakistan, a game changer for region, that holds good today. And $25 billion on 60 projects almost has already been spent.
Yes.
We are left with just 5 to 6 years in completion, and I am sure, having known the Chinese way of working, it is doable and very much doable. When it is done in 2030, would create more than 2 million jobs only in one sector.
Yes.
Would actually Pakistan's all the energy needs and infrastructure needs and ML1 etc. The overall outlook of Pakistan would be just like any other developed country.
It's going to be a complete economic revolution if we just go through it, and with the sincerity of purpose, we just have to implement all these things, and we have to go on with these actions.
And
really,
such kind of enthusiasm is also incentivizing the potential investors, like for example Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Qatar have already pledged that they would be investing a huge amount and around $35 billion.
Definitely, if you progress and that progress is visible, everyone will come and invest. There is no doubt about it.
And lastly, as we have also initiated a process of Iran-Pakistan gas pipeline. So we have energy corridors of CPEC, so Iran-Pakistan gas pipeline. CASA 1000 and TAPI would also be in the pipeline sometime. So we are at the opportunity corridors. We just have to exploit those opportunities.
Dr. Hasnain, when we are talking about the special economic zones, relocation of the Chinese industries and the businesses towards Pakistan, why not to have this benefiting from plug and play environment by inviting Chinese investors, ensure their security, give incentives, investments, rational policies to build industry, to grow trade particularly at least to $8 to $10 billion through this relocation, and to have SEZs in Pakistan within very short span of time in 3 to 5 years?
Faisal, Pakistan is willing to do that. China is willing to do that. Now, you have to find the bone of contention. Who has the problem with the 80 kilometer of the Iran-Pakistan gas pipeline? Because we have to pay $18 billion of the penalty. So we have to build that. If we get it, like 366 megawatt plus gas can come to the Pakistan, and the industrialization goes on. We're here to do the economic zone. I told you how much we are willing and desperate to build the economic zone, but let me tell you, we need to minus the government footstep from the 67% or 87%. We have to minus SROs. We have to minus the we have to give the tax holiday, tax exempted areas and special economic zones. We have to call up again those 1 lakh plus companies of the Chinese which were went back in 2018. So we have to call up again, and then Balochistan from Zog to everyone. And the very important point raised by respected General Samrez Salik. So the important point is the terrorists. So the China-Pakistan economic corridor has indeed been infected by the wave of terrorism in Pakistan and elevated to the varying degrees and in different way. So here are some way in which the terrorism has impacted the CPEC. Security concerns, one of the primary impact terrorism on the CPEC project heightened the security concern, and the corridor passed through the region in Pakistan that have experienced significant terrorist activities such as Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, and this raised security risk for the both Chinese and Pakistani workers, as well as infrastructure projects associated with the CPEC. Now we have to give a tough call, because this is why I'm talking about the restoration of authority. And restoration of authority, the chairman of authority must also having the background of the military, and plus he knows the CPEC, and then he must have the dare to secure the CPEC from the India via Afghanistan, and then they have to tell that the IMF is different and CPEC is different, that this is the solution and this is very much important, and we must have to we must not have to negotiate on our own sovereignty. So investor confidence is very much important. So the wave of terrorism in Pakistan has also affected the investor confidence in CPEC project. Foreign investors, including Chinese companies, may become hesitant to invest in the project located in the area with a high risk of the terrorist attack, and reluctant can slow down the pace of the project implementation.
Very pinpointed intervention, Dr. Hasnain. You have made it a very important point related to IMF and CPEC. So why not IMF and CPEC go in parallel? Why not we move on with that? Because different states, we have seen over the years that they are having diplomacies with their adversaries as well, with their competitors as well, with their friends as well, although there is no friend and foe in international relations, but we just categorize it that there are relations in between, and we have seen over the years why we are reluctant to take these things along.
No, actually I had established in my dissertation that Pakistan is again assuming a pivotal role in the geopolitics of 21st century. Now, who are the two main contestants in that geopolitics? One is the US, second is China.
Definitely.
In earlier geopolitics, it has been Soviet Empire in the US and terrorism in the US, and but in 21st century, it is US and China. They are calling each other as competitors.
Obviously.
Now, whatever China wants to do, the US doesn't want it to happen. So I have identified US as a restraining force as far as BRI is concerned, as well as CPEC is concerned. Now, the interest of China, India and the US are converging, because both are restraining forces. Now, it may be our wish that we might strike a balance between US and China. Definitely, that is what should be our main effort. But it is so difficult once you have such a critical position. For a country like Saudi Arabia, yes, they can have a balance. But for a country like Pakistan, you cannot tell US that, okay, I will execute half of CPEC and half of it I will not do it, because you want it that way. So you have to either execute CPEC or you don't
Obviously.
Either you can
Very right.
fulfill US wish or you can fulfill Chinese wish. It can't, there are no two ways. IMF is going to be part of the restraining force, not the enabling force.
So, Dr. Waseem, when we are talking about the special economic zones, no doubt that that is the only area which is much lucrative when we go through the overall plan of initially the 9-1. So, do you think that it is a gateway to access technology, the cutting edge technologies which are needed for a robust economy? Along with that, the education, the skills and the jobs which are very important for our youth, particularly 1.5 million jobs are expected out of more than even into these special economic zones. So how do you see, and even that is going to supplement with other sectors like agriculture, science and tech cooperation and all that. So how do you see that?
I foresee a lot of economic potentials and huge economic activity which is impending. And as per the open source data, out of those major 9 economic zones, 4 are about to be completed in 2025, on which a good progress has been made, and remaining are supposed to be completed by 2030. So in that context, and as the Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Qatar have demonstrated their willingness to invest in Pakistan, so as we get closer to the completion of those special economic zones, so I'm sure their interest would be coming to come and invest into those sectors, and especially they have demonstrated for the IT sector, they have demonstrated for the oil refineries and the petrochemicals. So in that context, and especially the fulcrum of this entire process is the Gwadar port,
obviously,
and the associated facilities. And Saudi Arabia has also demonstrated its willingness to come and invest in Gwadar oil refinery as well. And there will be a huge pipelines which are also planned, starting from Gwadar and going up to Kashgar and then to the mainland China. So in that context, it will be an enormous economic activity which is going to be generated, and that way the only missing link would be that do we have that much human resource trained available to be immediately consumed to those. So this is a huge gap where we start working from now onward, so that by 2030, whenever those special economic zones are, let's say, about 80% complete or 90% complete, we should be able to replace the Chinese manpower, or at least put some Pakistani manpower into that, so that when the transition overs, we should be firmly in place to handle all those economic projects independently. So there is a huge gap on this aspect.
Definitely, your point well taken. Dr. Hasnain, when we are talking about SEZs and the CPEC progress overall, I am amazed that why we are not going to that pace which is actually required, what Pakistan is right now facing, because if we just go through these SEZs, if the industry relocated to the SEZs and they are going to have the products, value addition and all that, ultimately there would be lots of exports. Gwadar will be used, ML1 would be used, that curtail imports, you have foreign exchange reserves, a breathing space available for the balance of payment, along with that ensure economic growth. So why the question is why we are still lagging behind?
As far as in my knowledge, the ideology is again being changed. It is all based on the import. They think that the import is the breather to the economy. To me, the export is the breather to economy. And the export-led society can bring the change to the economy, and Pakistan can restrain. As I told you, sir, to me, is the 2020 is the final gateway, and 2030 is the progress and the highest progression on that way. As well as, I mean, as I told you, lock the door behind you, and now the new, Prime Minister is going there again. So if the restoration of the authority of the CPEC restored back, one window operation restored back, and then the Chinese must have given the right man, and there must be the right man from our side who will handle this CPEC with the all absolute power. Then I describe the CPEC as a game changer again. And I'm telling you the game changer, it is the game changer. IMF not is the game changer. IMF is the need. IMF is the requested need, but we have to negotiate in a very better way.
Just
we could
stabilize the economy.
Whosoever it is. But the game changer, to uplift the Pakistan and adjacent area of the China, and perhaps even reshape the economy geographically of the region, and it is predicted the CPEC will result the creation of upward 2.3 million jobs between till 2025, 2023, and 2 to 2.5 percentage point of the country annual economic growth. I'm telling you, if you are dependent on IMF, they will somehow give you, the average of 2.2 to 2.5. But if you are again focusing on the CPEC project in a right way, in the right direction, not the directionless direction, you can get about the maximum percentage of the 3.5 percentage of the GDP. So here, of course, we are exporting. We need to have we need to give the rebate to the agriculture. We need to give the rebate to the textile industry, so that we can go up to that, because our maximum export to the America, our maximum export to the European side, but it is on to the textile area, onto the agriculture side. But if there is no cartelization, if there is no red tapeism,
And Dr. Hasnain, the reality of fact is that we have the generalized scheme of preferences plus available, but unfortunately there also our exports are declining. So this is the time that we have to think about that Pakistan must have to grow and to develop, and for that purpose we have to show sincerity on each and every aspect. General Sahab, when we are talking about, as Dr. Hasnain rightly mentioned, about to revive CPEC authority, along with that there must have to be a grand national dialogue on CPEC as well. The security aspect must have to be taken on board, and then what about the CPEC medium term plan of till 2025, and then the long term plan till 2030. So do you think that we are on track?
We are absolutely way behind our schedule. Let me share with you, it was January 2015 that the first convoy was moved from Chinese border till Gwadar, 2015.
Yes.
So almost 10 years have passed. There hasn't been a second convoy since then. So if we had kept the pace and we had progressed well, I think many goods would have shifted by now. Unfortunately, there was 2 years because of the COVID, which put everything at the back burner. Then there has been issues of law and order and security and all those kind of things. So we are not in step. We need to, as you have said, that we need to have a national dialogue. We need to revitalize CPEC authority, because this is a gigantic project as far as Pakistan is concerned. For China, it may be a very small project, because China itself is a giant. For Pakistan, it's a huge project. Obviously. So in order to handle it efficiently, it has been a long drawn and old thought that there should be a CPEC development authority, which should be made. Now, I will also like to say one thing here. You asked me about IMF. I would like to say that the sincerity has to come from the US and IMF. Wherever I have been going, whether it was London or wherever I have been able to put across my point of view, that this region has done too much of fighting. This region is least integrated region of the world, unfortunately, most impoverished region of the world, and most conflict prone region of the world. So the theme that I have been throwing, that the world should give us a break.
Yes.
And they should let us grow and develop.
Definitely.
India should not contest CPEC for the greater good of this region.
Obviously.
Because it is because of India that this region has been, Indian centric region, the South Asia has been conflict prone. Chinese centric South Asia is going to be having growth and development.
It is very much evident because of the US policies, when they categorize and coin Indo-Pacific.
Exactly.
It is not about Asia Pacific. So
it is not.
This is obvious, really.
So it is, while we may wish that we want to balance between US and China, US and IMF should also think that we have done too much of fighting.
Obviously.
They should not put us in another cycle of fighting, which I foresee is happening.
As General Samrez has said, Dr. Waseem, Pakistan has a dilemma of, on one side, you have non-cooperative neighbors you have, and then obviously at least it is applicable on eastern border and at the western border. Then you have a security challenge, you have economic wars. So in that scenario, how do you see that, how we are going to integrate region, how we have better diplomacy to have relations, and then move on with the CPEC like projects with a little comfort?
From the optimistic lens which I have always been using, Pakistan has demonstrated apt sort of diplomacy while balancing its relations even during Cold War between the superpowers. Pakistan was a prime mover in having a rapprochement with China, United States and China's rapprochement through Pakistan. So in that context, now this is the time when China is paying back to us. China has very reasonably good relations with India. It has developed bilateral relations with Afghanistan. It has also developed very good relations with Iran, and through Iran, Saudi rapprochement had actually resolved long-term the geopolitical aspects of the Middle Eastern region. So in that context now, China's diplomacy is a fulcrum to act as a balancer in this region, and especially for balancing of CPEC between Pakistan, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan and Pakistan and Iran. So in that context, China is also using its good offices, and Pakistan is also has announced that would like to have good relations with all our neighbors.
To take your point along, this question is to you all three, that internally, definitely the internal cohesion is very important. But when we are talking about the friendly borders, you don't have some of the borders which are not friendly. So what about to have this diplomacy and all that, to take other countries on board, particularly Iran and Afghanistan, and then to Central Asian republics, because ultimately the CPEC extension goes to these regions, and we have to exploit our infrastructure to bring all those convoys to Gawada. So how do you see that? If briefly tell us about.
In my personal view, that bilateral diplomacy and multilateral diplomacy, while in most cases all these regional countries and China, we are actually members of multilateral forums as well.
Yes.
And since China's theme is common development for all, so therefore we can exploit that theme for common development of the entire region. And that when we say it's a game changer for the region, so therefore a good theme which is fitting into China's common development is that CPEC is a game changer for this entire region, and we all will benefit.
Obviously. Samrez sir.
I would like to say that we can follow the model of China. Once they are decided to lay out the initiative of BRI, prior to that, what did they do? They settled all disputes with their neighbors. 16 countries, all settled. So first they created their external environment peaceful, and then they ventured into this.
At least they have created a breathing space.
They have.
Really.
Now, as far as Pakistan is concerned, we have problems with India. That's perennial. It would not go away that easy. We have problems with Afghanistan. We have problems with Iran. Now, unless we settle our issues with these countries, unless they feel confident that CPEC is going to be for their benefit, so far they do not have that kind of trust. Unless they feel confident CPEC is going to be there for their benefit, they are not going to.
At least there should be something inside Pakistan.
Exactly. They will not lend a supporting hand to that.
Obviously. And Dr. Hasnain, what you say about to have some sort of friendly borders, to realize, neighbors must realize that Pakistan is doing excellent, and this CPEC is going to be a game changer for them as well. So they feel at least some of the responsibility to have cohesion in the region and to integrate each other to progress mutually.
To extend the General Samrez Salik, what he said and his idea, of course, India yet not respect the BRI and Iran and Afghanistan. And let me tell you, Afghanistan has taken a lot from China. Iran already taken a lot from China, and same as the way India has taken a lot from China. But still they are not part of the BRI because they wanted to have the both from the both side, and they wanted to happy the superpower. But they don't know the future is the Southeast Asia. And let me assure you, the future is Southeast Asia, and we must have to understand that there is a problem behind in front of Belt and Road Initiative. But President Xi is an Iron Man. He is standing, and so far he is standing definitely BRI, and if Pakistan is with the China, of course they will be in China. What we call in China is a Pathian, it's iron friendship. If Pakistan want to have the iron friendship and be with the part of the China along with them, and they must have to separate the IMF or the other diplomatic relationship as a relationship, but not as just the sideline of the other sector or the divide. But and
you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right, Dr. Hasnain. Dr. Hasnain, you are absolutely right. We have run short of time. Fortunately, this discussion is very interesting, but unfortunately, we have to move on with our clocks. So the thing is that your well elaborated whole of the scenario. Thank you very much for your presence online. Thank you very much, Dr. Hasnain. Thank you very much, retired Samrez Salik. Thank you very much for your presence here in the studios. Very candid views. Thank you. So nice of you. Thank you very much, Dr. Waseem. You are always a rocking star. Thank you. So nice of you.
My pleasure.
When we are talking about, viewers, Pakistan and China relations, particularly the China-Pakistan economic corridor, it is important that as we all know that the Western containment of China policy is intact in our region, and India is playing its part to contain China. So Pakistan as a close iron friend with the Beijing, Pakistan has to face the brunt as well. But for that point in time, it is important that we have to look into the security aspect and the economic aspect of the CPEC, and for that reason both countries have to sit together as our panelists suggested, and once for all decide that where we have to go. And secondly, as our panelists were very eager for the revival of the CPEC authority, that is very important. Along with that, the sincerity of purpose is required here in Pakistan, and if there would be some sort of grand national dialogue would be initiated at all levels, not only the political side, the military side, the civil bureaucracy, the industrialists, the investors and all others who belongs to this country, and they want that Pakistan must have to progress. Along with that, we have to initiate some sort of a regional dialogue as well with Afghanistan, Iran, with the neighbors, so that this CPEC is going to be a game changer, not only in reality with only for Pakistan, for China, but also for the entire region, what is basically the crux and the root of Belt and Road Initiative. This is today's Foresight. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.